I'm here up at Brooksby Farm with the farm manager, Pat Kay. Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you.
Thank you for having us up here today.
Great.
It's a beautiful day up here. And what do you have for us right here?
It's the best time of year. Well, we're in the campsite here. This campsite gets used regularly by Boy Scouts and different church groups sometimes use it, and some of the neighborhood people use it.
This is great.
And in particular, Randy Weld and the Outdoor Adventure Program make use of this site all summer long.
That's
we
great.
have a fire pit here.
This is cool. Want to walk over?
Sure.
So I see the fire pit,
We have a fire pit.
some
We have
stone benches.
some granite benches, and this was an Eagle Scout project. That's a stage. During Randy's outdoor adventure, and even the Boy Scouts, they do skits, you know, just some fun things. So a kid going for his Eagle Scout project built this stage.
Wow.
It's a nice, safe spot. It's a great environment to connect with nature, to just learn more about our environment. This is part of what we're hoping for a larger environmental studies and outreach to the community.
That's wonderful. You know, I was enjoying the view as we rode up here in your tractor from the main farm. It's a beautiful view of the foliage and the cherry trees and apple trees. It's a beautiful, beautiful amenity we have here in Peabody. All right, here we are at pond number 1. It's a man-made pond. Why don't you tell me about it, Pat?
This is what we call our fishing pond. There are plenty of bass in this pond. You put a worm on a hook and you're guaranteed to get one. All summer long, kids come here fishing. Sometimes they come on their own. Sometimes they come with the outdoor adventure class.
So anyone can just come up to Brooksby and grab a pole or bring their own pole and come out here and fish?
Yep, bring your own pole. You don't need a license because it's city land.
Wow.
And you can fish from shore. One problem that kids sometimes have, especially beginners that aren't that good at casting, they'll get the hook caught up in the bushes and this and that. So to make it easier, we have an Eagle Scout project that's going to be happening.
Gotta love those Eagle Scouts.
Yep, they're hardworking kids, and they want to help and improve the city and the resources. So by this time next year, right behind us, we're going to see a little pond out in the water.
A dock?
Well, a little dock, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be a dock in the water. It's going before the Conservation Commission in November, and it's been thumbs up so far.
I'm quite confident that'll be right up their alley. I'm sure they will love it.
Well, it's an environmental asset, and it'll allow the kids to be right over the water, and especially for beginners that have trouble casting, it's going to be a great asset.
I bet there are plenty of adults that throw their lines in the trees too. That would probably be me, so.
Yeah, they do it to help the adults, and more than just a fishing pond, this is an area that we get quite a few hikers and neighborhood people that just come here for a little bit of, you might say, decompressing, and they'll be here in the late afternoon when the sun is just marvelous and the birds come in. The kingfisher will come fishing. You'll see the cranes come and land. The wildlife that visit the pond is spectacular.
Must be beautiful up here at that time.
So people will come here, and sometimes they bring a lawn chair and they'll just sit and read a book, and if you're quiet, you'd be surprised what comes in. And
yeah, wow, this is beautiful.
even with the mall right down the street.
You wouldn't know it.
Nope.
You wouldn't know anyone else is around.
Nope. Except for the farmer who chases you out, but
occasionally. I'm sure you look the other way quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple more ponds I think you're going to show us.
We have 2 more ponds, and it's a unique piece of property because this is a man-made pond. Over the hill, we have the headwaters to the Waters River. It's where the river begins, and it empties out to the ocean. And then we have a 3rd pond, which is an isolated pond. There's no inlet or outlet, but it's a spectacular pond. The fishing there is even better.
Wow, and I think there's evidently good cell phone reception up here.
There is. I can't get away from it.
All right, let's go check out those other ponds.
Excellent.
All right, great. We're at pond number 2, Pat. I see some beautiful little lily pads. Tell us about pond number 2. What do you call it?
This is the skating pond. And if any of our mature citizens come by the farm and they'll say, I remember skating at this pond. And we still skate at this pond. this right here is the headwaters to the Waters River that empties out in Danvers and then out to the ocean. And this pond, which is a beautiful water quality, if we were to go through the swamp on the west side of it, you would see some springs and some wet areas and the water trickling in. But this is where the Waters River begins. This is one of the ponds that Barbara Warren from the Salem Sound Group
Yes.
is doing some studies and some environmental teaching to our kids. This pond and the fish pond, they're doing water quality tests, and I think they're checking for the invertebrates and just comparing the two ponds and the differences and the life forms. So I'm hoping
That's
that
fascinating.
this project can go a little further, and so that the Peabody school kids can do some more environmental studies here and just make a connection between the water, the land, and their everyday living. It's really important, and by coming here, they can have some fun. They could actually see things and not just read it out of a book, to have some real hands-on teaching experience here.
Yeah, we are really lucky in the city of Peabody to be able to have all of this beautiful environmental amenities here, right right in the heart of our city, right at Brooksby Farm. Not many cities around can tout that. We're very lucky here.
And it's all on the same piece of property, so in one afternoon they can go to 3 different environments and put their hands on the differences, and they can feel it, and they can, hopefully make a deep impression, so as they become leaders in the future years, that there's some meaning to them.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a great spot. It's one of my favorite places, and once again, on the 2 ends of the day in particular, if you came down here, the wildlife that you would see, and I probably shouldn't say this.
Oh, say it.
But
You're a rebel.
there aren't as many fish in this pond, but this is where the big fish are. So,
Cat's out of the bag.
yeah. So there aren't as many fish. You have to do a little bit more work to get them here, but this is where the 2-pounders are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good to know. And I know that the Center School did some environmental artwork, I think, that is around us here, that's surrounding us, and it was based on an artist named Andy Goldsworthy. Want to check it out?
Let's go see what they did here. And I think this first one, it's, and I'm not sure how to interpret some of the art. Yeah, I'm more of a farmer than an artist.
Well, it's certainly made out of the environment. We have branches, logs, apples.
I see some Cortlands, some Macs in there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if this is a dinosaur. It looks like a spine to me.
Pretty funky.
It is.
Something else over here looks kind of cool.
There's quite a few in the woods here. Looks like they made some good use of the material at hand.
I know the kids had a lot of fun. I was earlier that one of the teachers was showing me pictures that she took of all the kids having a great day up here at Brooksby. Oh, look, we have, it looks like, this is pretty cool. Looks like a fire pit, a campfire.
A miniature fire pit. Yeah.
Sure, with apples, twigs, pine cones, leaves. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
and
is.
and another one over here, very similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of work went into this one. This really does have a neat pattern with the sticks.
It does.
So somebody spent a lot of time. It almost looks like it has an oriental flavor to it, with the sticks going all the same direction.
Yeah, it's very linear in concept. It looks great. Beautiful, beautiful. This is really cool. This reminds me of a scene from Survivor. Look at this. These kids should go on Survivor. They should have a Center School Survivor program, because this would make quite the bonfire, keep many people warm.
The bonfire, teepee, it's a large structure.
It is. It's really cool. And if you look inside here, we have apples in as the coals. Red hot coals. It's really groovy.
It is. And it looks like there's a little plant there surrounded by red leaves and more apples. I wish some of the kids were here that can,
I know.
to interpret what their thoughts were, because you can see something there, but what it is, we all have different ideas.
Right, right. But it'd be great for folks to come up and check it out.
It looks like a complicated one in this direction.
Yes, actually, along the Survivor theme, this looks like a Survivor obstacle course.
Now, is this one installation or 2 over here? That's the question.
Indeed.
And
Oh, a 3.
or 3. Wow, this is a whole community. And you'll see that there's one here. Over the horizon is another one. And people will pitch their tent on the platforms. It's a nice level spot. There aren't so many spiders, you might say.
I don't like spiders.
Yeah, some people don't like spiders. So when there's a camp out here, like last weekend, we had 60 people between the scouts and their parents from Troop, I think, 119 from Peabody. This entire woodland was filled.
Oh, that must have been a blast. That must have been a good time.
You know, they were lucky with the weather, and the kids were in heaven.
Here we are at the Smith Pond. Pat, tell us about the Smith Pond.
The Smith Pond is a spring-fed pond that's really my favorite pond on the whole property. Once upon a time, they used to have a summer cottage here, and the Smith family would come here on summer evenings to enjoy their meal. You can see the large trees that are here. So they had a little cottage here, and they would take their horse and wagon down here to have a nice, cool summer meal by the pond. And you can see it's a little bit grown in now, but this is one part of the farm that has mature trees, an isolated pond that's got clean water. It's just a beautiful spot. It's really my favorite pond, and I'm hoping in the future to clean away some of the underbrush and some of the invasive plants that are here so that we can make better use of it. It's you'd have to be here on all 4 seasons to really appreciate just how wonderful this is.
Yeah, so it sounds like that should be a little project for us. It sounds like you need the city's help in brushing up a little bit over here.
Yeah,
right?
it's a matter of manpower and just cleaning up, you know, because nature abhors a vacuum. And if you don't manage an area, the trees and bushes, and one issue that the farm has are the non-native invasive species. And one project that we started with Dick Walker, and Dick and I realized, you know, we're not really utilizing the property as good as we should, but we need some help. And one way to get help is with some government grants from the state and the federal government. The step number 1 to be able to even be in order to get a grant is to get a forestry management plan. So Dick Walker initiated this. He got a grant to get a plan, and we hired a licensed forest management person. They came, they surveyed our properties, and he found 5 unique environmental areas in our woods.
Oh, wow.
So he documented it, said what was in it, and what we could do to bring it back to health. And when you look around, it is healthy, but there's a lot of bittersweet, there's poison ivy, honeysuckle, there's a lot of non-native invasive plants which kind of detract from how good it could be for the wildlife. So this was step 1. We have a plan that's been accepted by the state DEP.
Good work.
So now we can say, okay, it's a lot easier now to say, this one section, let's try to attack this in the next few years. And we can take it piece by piece, but we have a document now that we can work off of and use as a basis for future environmental work and
That sounds
studies.
like a great plan. It's always good to have a plan.
Yeah, we have a plan, and one thing that the forester said when he gave it to us, this is a plan for the future. There's no timeline on it, but you can set some goals, and it's a working document that as you go forward, 10 or 20 years from now, we pass it on to the next person. It's still valid. The documentation's there, and we could build on it.
That's great, and it's
Yeah.
nature, so it'll always be here as long as we're kind to her.
Yep,
right?
it will be.
Right.
And so it's something that between the pond studies, some of the forestry studies, some of the farming we do here, it's a really valuable asset to the community. And if people can learn from it, if people can grow with it, it's good for all of us.
It is. And how many acres are up here,
It's
Pat?
about 250 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge piece of property. It's got some really nice, unique land features, some water features that maybe because we're at the end of a dead-end street. Some people know about us, but a lot of people don't.
Well, that's why we're up here, riding around in your tractor, checking out the ponds, the 3 ponds, and to showcase to those folks at home who are watching this, there's a lot to do up here. It's beautiful. It's a lot of fun, and you own it. It belongs to you. It's citizens of Peabody, and we want to get you up here to enjoy go fishing. A lot of things up here. I go cross-country skiing. I know people snowshoe, go apple picking, strawberry picking. I think
strawberries, blueberries, cherry picking.
Right.
One thing we didn't show you today. This is where the cross-country team runs. You know, we have the cross-country path marked out here, and this is where they have their meets.
Peabody Veterans Memorial High School track team. You're right. They come flying through here.
They do, sometimes unbeknownst to us in the middle of harvesting. But we haven't run anybody over yet.
That's good. That's good. And they haven't run you over yet. It's probably more what you'd be concerned about.
So it's a great piece of property.
It is. So come up and use it.